Where do you want to start? Because
like I said,
we can make this about
season.
Yeah.
Like I said in the middle of the season, why the hell are these coaches coaching like they're playing Madden, bro? Like, just kick the fucking ball. You have kickers. Kick the ball.
Okay.
I don't get it. I don't get it. But also, if you're going to go for it all the time on fourth down, then go for it all the time on fourth down.
Okay, here's my take. The one thing that's curious to me, I'll acknowledge this with Dan. I'm going to put my cards on the table. Number one, huge Dan fan. I don't think they're there without him, right? Number two, he hurt them in the second half. Number three, and this is the most important thing, to me, the biggest mistake he made was calling that timeout because that robs your defense of an opportunity to earn their keep. You know, like an onside kick is not a high percentage play. In that situation, even if you're going to run the ball out of goal line, have another play loaded up in the hopper for fourth down. You're supposed to have more plays. And Ben, that's on Ben Johnson too. And, you know, like I want to know if I'm an owner what happened there because, I mean, in that situation, if you don't have a second play, you burn your first time out. Now the game is going to end on an onside kick or it's going to extend. And to me, that you frame a lot of these decisions with like, hey, this is a coach that believes in his team.
Yeah.
Coach doesn't believe in his defense making that call.
No. So with that call, who on the sideline other than the head coach can maybe would buzz into him and be like, do not take a timeout right here?
I mean, it's a conversation that's ongoing between the people upstairs and Dan.
Like, hey, Dan.
And so I'm pretty sure they co-signed that. Like, if we don't get it here, like, yeah, we're going to take a timeout, which is wild to me. Now, as far as the fourth down is concerned, before the half, I understood them kicking because it's a 3-score game at that point. Like, you don't, they're going to get the ball out of the half. You could be up a touchdown in 5 minutes. Okay? So I understand them going up 17 before the half. Part of me is like, why not do it again in the middle of the third quarter when the possessions are different? I think some things changed there. They came out of the gate and San Francisco was rolling on that, you know, like they were rolling a little bit. I think you look at that situation and you could easily say, hey, Dan, you're a fucking idiot. I understand that's kind of how they do things. That's what I wanted to say in real time. Went back and watched the tape. I thought the second half was about missed opportunities for the Lions. I really do. That 4th and 3, the people that said, hey, down in Dallas, remember Goff to the flat on the 2-point conversion, a lot of people were like, well, it's there. You know, like the Steichen call in the flat. A lot of people say it's there. You can't question the call. It's there. And to Steichen and to Ben Johnson, I would have said, well, in those games, the quarterback wasn't making throws. So, like, you're trusting him to make an easy throw in a tough situation. Maybe you consider that. But in this game, I didn't think Jared Goff played bad. So I'm looking at this situation, and Reynolds got the ball on his hands. I mean, it's the right read. It's the right play. It's there. And I think from Dan's perspective in that situation, you're talking about an opportunity to go up 21. Like you could be up 21 points with 4 minutes or so to go if you'd have finished that drive in the second half. And I think he also knows that Shanahan and the Niners don't come back in the fourth quarter. And so he wanted to put him away in that situation. I'm not going to fault him for that, especially when the ball is on the guy's hands. Now, the second 4th down, where you've got a chance to kick a 47-yarder with 7 minutes to go in the game and tie it up, because of the clock, because of how quickly San Francisco's apt to score, in that situation, kick the field goal and get the ball last. Whether you're getting the ball last and grinding it out in 4-minute mode or you're going to win or tie the game, I'd rather be in that situation than give them the ball back at midfield. And if they score again, you're going to have to kick an onside kick or call 3 timeouts. Does that make sense to you guys? What I'm saying is, with 7 minutes to go in the game, a chance to tie it. If they go down and score in 4 minutes,
it's a no-brainer.
you'd still tie it on the Jameson Williams touchdown.
I just don't like that it's kind of like no rhyme or reason. It's kind of like how I'm feeling in the moment. And
we don't know his rhyme or reason.
Yeah, exactly.
But Ben Johnson got them the open look on the first 4th down. That's my point is, like, the look's there.
Yeah.
Catch the fucking ball. And not to mention that, like, the whole second half, dude, you've got missed opportunities. Laporta in the red zone on the first drive.
Sale.
They just miss it.
Yep.
You know? 4th and 2, you got the Reynolds drop. You got the Gibbs fumble, dude. Did Dan Campbell fumble that ball? 3rd and 9, Reynolds dropped another one later in the game. Like, that drive extends. Who knows? J-Mo, touchdown. Like, catch the ball. Great players make that play.
Yep.
Now, I know it's not an easy play, but catch the ball. So all I'm saying is there are opportunities. The Lions were still finding guys.
Dan Campbell can't block Nick Bosa.
He can't block Nick Bosa. So, he deserves some culpability in that game for calling that timeout late, but that's a situation you probably never end.
Bosa gave a speech.
You just make the plays you're supposed to make.
And you can't have DNs getting pancaked by overgrown wide receivers, man. I don't like George Kittle is a tight end. I don't want to hear this. He's basically an old lineman. No. He is a ball catching tight end, and your starting DN in the playoffs should not be getting pancaked that bad on a reach block.
Why are you yelling?
No.
Just looking at the camera.
No.
Well, I understand, and I want to point this out. In the second half, and a lot of it was George Kittle on the edge, 5.8 a pop for the Niners. They had 38 rushing yards in the first half. Now, the Lions had 150 in the first half. They ran for like 4.2, 4.3 in the second half. Like, they were still running the ball, but they never kept the ball long enough. The big problem for me is that Gibbs fumble and then a 3-and-out. Between that Gibbs fumble and the 2-minute drive late in the game, Niners had 13 minutes possession. Detroit had 3 minutes.
When that moment,
that's where you lose the game. You lose the game. There's a couple. It's okay to sit here and say on Monday you're always looking for one person to blame. You could blame Dan.
That's the fun way to
play
do it.
Reynolds. You could, but you had opportunities. Whether they were phases of the game or plays, you had opportunities to win the game. Now, here's where the Niners won the game.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about the Niners. The Niners won the game, and they won the game because they found the matchups in the second half, whether it was the Vildor, DPI, Ayuk in the red zone, Kittle on Melon Fonwu. They ran the ball.
Brock Purdy put on the Michael Vick jersey.
And Brock Purdy, dude. This is the thing. It's the reason we haven't slandered him to the degree that some people have, because I don't see the point in that. The point is, Brock Purdy's good enough. The way they said good enough for Detroit, Brock Purdy's good enough to play in a Super Bowl. Brock Purdy's part of the reason they're here. So like when people call him a capital G game manager, at the very least give him game executive, because the dude makes plays off schedule.
How about the throw across the middle that he got away with? And Greg Olsen was essentially like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, but that's
just the Brock Purdy magic.
But I'd rather have a guy that's not afraid to take those chances, that can make throws off platform, than a guy who's just sitting back there and running the offense. And I think that's where he separates himself. Against Green Bay, one of the biggest plays of that game was late in the game, Green Bay's trying to defend a field goal, and they're in the red zone, and Green Bay runs like a TE from a shade. So the tackle's like by the center, and he's trying to run out and get contained. He doesn't get it. Brock sees it and goes down to low red and sets up that touchdown. Well, there were multiple occasions last night, none bigger than 4:42 to go, 3rd and 4 at midfield, where he scrambles to the 28-yard line. He just sees it. He beats Anzalone to the sideline and takes off. And then, I think a huge one for me, hidden. This is a hidden key play. It's 2:01 left in the third at the San Francisco 20. Okay, they send Melon Fonwu. Early down pressures. That's what Detroit has done well. Got him dead to rights at the 11. I mean, he's all over him. Purdy shakes out of that and hits Juszczyk on the sideline. And you know what happened?
Toe tap?
Yeah, it's a toe tap.
Dude.
7-minute drive. It could be 2nd and 19.
What do you call Juszczyk?
On the 11. Juszczyk on the sideline, and it's a 7-minute drive.
Receiver?
So, that kills you. And it's all Brock Purdy making plays off schedule, and the throws were circus throws.
It's like a well-behaved Johnny Manziel.
Yeah. You know what I like?
Entertaining, maybe not the optimal physique. People want an alpha Josh Allen out there, and Brock Purdy's like, hey, my hands are a little small. I got to dry them off when it rains. You want to see this offense go? Let's run this thing back for the fourth quarter.
And by the way, his hands aren't small.
I'm playing the narrative game.
The narrative game. He reminds me. I was trying to figure out who he reminds me of. Somebody said
Howie Jr.
Somebody said Baker sometimes, but I actually
in high school. Bro.
Yeah, my brother.
He was sick.
Yeah,
in high school.
Honestly, he reminds me of what you would want Bryce Young to be. Like cagey. Extends plays, quick release. He's got a great quick release. He can make some plays off platform, but he's not Michael Vick, except for when he's playing the Lions. And I think he's just been that guy for them that you could explain it away. This was such a huge game for him because I think if they lose this game, there are people talking about, do you replace Brock Purdy next year? And there was a point in this game where you're like, we're right back where we were last year in the NFC Championship.
They panned to George Kittle on the sideline, like right after their failed drive, and they were down 17. And George Kittle's face on the sideline is kind of like, it's not a face that's telling me like, screw our quarterback, but it's a face that's like, fuck, how do we get in this situation so quickly? And then for him to turn it around, I just imagine all the texts that were sent from Lions fans talking shit, all the Facebook posts.
Did you see
just wait.
Yeah, did you see the video of Kittle last night's Super Bowl when they were about to lose? He was just like, he was on the sideline, he was mic'd up, and he had said something. He was like, I'm gonna fucking be back here and with a vengeance. Like they played that. And then,
that's another team that's got championship DNA. They might not have won one, but they've been there. So you talk about a team that like goes down 17 at home and the sky is falling. They're giving up 150 yards on the ground in the first half. They're in the same place they were last year. Purdy got hit so hard at one point by McNeil. I thought we were going to have a repeat of last year. Like he was going to be out.
Was it the one where he hit his?
Yeah.
Okay. It was the same action. It was the same.
Well,
he didn't get his elbow. He got his fingers.
It might have been another one where McNeil landed on him.
I don't think it was
but
McNeil.
He got hit hard in
Purdy hit a hand on release. I forget who he hit. But I remember thinking, like, damn, is it going to be fingers this year?
Yeah. The ball goes down the field a couple times, and you're like, damn, is Purdy going to get up? I said the same thing about Mahomes a couple times. Mahomes was so tough yesterday.
He got crumpled up like a pretzel.
Destroyed a couple times.
The pretzel tackle he got out of.
He didn't even tear both his ACLs.
He just ran out of it.
Yeah, dude. I mean, so...
There's a viral video going around of some of his workouts that he does that looks crazy, and he can kind of like back
doing like handstands and shit.
Purdy made some of the best throws yesterday of anybody.
Shout out to Bob Stroop, who is Mahomes' trainer, who is a very entertaining Twitter follow on game day. He's a very prideful trainer, loves his athletes, as many of these trainers do. Mm-hmm. And he's a good Bob Stroop is a good follow. But he makes Patrick do all this off-platform stuff to prepare for these awkward situations because he knows his athlete isn't going to go down on first contact. So how am I going to train him differently?
No question.
Interesting.
But I mean, he's a different athlete, so you can't train him like everybody else.
Yeah.
This is going to be a great Super Bowl.
Well, imagine trying to challenge Patrick Mahomes in the offseason.
Well, he challenged himself.
Yeah, but try to build that playground.
Any chance of this game like being a blowout either way? Do you see that? Do you see a situation for either way, or which way do you think?
I think the blueprint is set for what the Kansas City Chiefs want to achieve against this San Francisco 49ers team, right, Chris?
Yeah, I like the Chiefs.
I'm big on the Chiefs.
I like the Chiefs. And nothing against the Niners. I think they're fucking awesome. But if you had to ask me which way I lean, it's the Chiefs because of a few things. Number one, they got great backers in the middle of the field. Like, that helps playing this offense.
Willie will be back.
Willie will be back. You might get Jared McKinnon back. I mean, like,
Jarek.
You know, I've been talking about
my favorite name ever, Jarek. I'm like, are you Jared or Derek?
Or Jared?
And he's got a Magic City backpack he walks around the facility with. He's one of the chillest characters.
I like this guy.
In the NFL.
Well, I like this guy. Anybody who's watched Chiefs games with me this year can tell that I like this guy because when he's not out there, I'm just so pissed off. He adds such a different dimension.
I think he played quarterback in college too. Check me on that. But he's another one of these guys where Andy Reid's like, oh, you know offense really well? Mm-hmm. Come on in. Yep. We got a place for you. Yep. And he's also clutch. And they asked him earlier in the season about being shelved a lot, like you're not using this offense. And he had an opportunity to take shots at rotation, and he was like, look, I know my role in this offense.
Yep.
And it's coming probably.
Listen, and he'd be great to get back. I don't know if Cook, the safety, has a shot. I haven't even looked because you're just worrying about it one game at a time if you're the Chiefs. But I think having the guys outside they can cover, right?
And there's stuff that's going to pop up this week, obviously, after that game yesterday.
That was a physical football game, so guys are going to pop up on the injury report. Now, on the other side of things, like, it's all about the run game, right? You know, Kansas City's had trouble in the run game, but one thing that I think they've done a pretty good job at is perimeter run. Like, I think when you know, like, you look at the Miami game plan 2 hard in the flat and saying, hey, we're gonna force the ball back in the middle of defense. I don't know if the guys up front have the same physicality for San Francisco outside of Trent Williams where like Baltimore does, where you were worried about it coming in. So I do think it's going to be a good football game. You asked if it could be a blowout. I mean, here's your blowout scenario. Spags dials up pressures that Purdy throws 4 picks. You get in the passing windows, you get some deflections.
Set traps for Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I just see now on the other side of it. How do you beat a great quarterback? You get pressure with 4. The Ravens did not get pressure with 4. Like Patrick had time. You talk about this big bad defense. The Niners can get pressure with 4. So if you can get pressure with 4, it's a different conversation.
The pressure that the Ravens got at times, and it was late and down, as Matabike did a great job rushing. Obviously, they were down Tooney at left guard.
Yeah.
And,
but they couldn't wreck the game.
It's obviously, we don't know what's going to happen with Tooney in the Super Bowl, but Allegretti, like we said last week, you can run behind him. You can trust him not to have MEs.
Yep.
And that's all you want, that Andy Reid offense. And to your point, less penalties, more opportunities to win.
Yes.
Report today that Tooney has a torn pec, so
Yeah.
probably will not.
Yeah,
the
he's
pec
like
is
50-50.
The pec's brutal.
70-30, no.
Pec's brutal. I got a bird chest.
If you think about the game plan, they're going to try to run the ball. And like you said last week, like Allegretti is not a big loss.
And their big
in the
passes down the field can be off of heavy play action, which gives our guy Nick Allegretti and that offensive line an opportunity to impose their will early in the down, take the edge off the rush. I mean, I think that's the game plan, Chris. Run the ball early, give Patrick shots. Watch, MVS might have another couple.
Here's another one, Kyle. Andy Reid against Steve Wilkes, okay? And then the real matchup is Shanahan against Spags. Is like I felt good about the Spags matchup last week because Monken hasn't been in these spots. Like this is his first real NFL playoff game. He's had big college games. He's coached in the NFL before. But this is different. And so now you've got Shanahan who's been there. And, you think about Kyle Shanahan dating all the way back to 28-3 and obviously not throwing the football late in the game is why they lost the game, in my opinion. I was on the field for that game. Like, that's why they lost the game. And you could put that squarely on –
some great rushes.
Well, you could put that on Kyle Shanahan, Trey Flowers. You could put that on Kyle Shanahan. Sure. And, you're talking about 7 years later, you're back in the same situation. You've been there before. You've been a throwaway with Jimmy G. I'm a huge fan of Kyle Shanahan.
He's great.
It probably means more to him than you know. I mean, because when you miss those opportunities most times, you don't get them back, whether you're a coordinator or a head coach. And for Dan Campbell, the sad thing was at the end of that game, I thought I saw a quote where he said, guys, you don't know if this is your last shot. Like, I'm not sure if we'll ever have another shot. And that's the realest thing you can say to your team because my dad, when he played in the Super Bowl early in his career, never got back, came close a few times. But, when he'd say, go talk to a team or something, he'd go talk to like the Vikings or something. And I'd be like, what'd you tell him? And he's like, you young guys that think this is how it is in the NFL. If you're young on a team and you get to the Super Bowl, if you were a young guy on that Eagles team a couple years ago, you're thinking we're going every year. Or last year, we're going every year. It's hard to get back. And so for Shanahan, this is a big opportunity.
You never had that. You never had that early in your career where you were like, okay, so my rookie year was the year we had a play-in game in Week 17 against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers at home. Mm-hmm. He beat us where John Kuhn cut blocked Julius Peppers. Rodgers rolled left and flicked the bean out there to Randall Cobb, I believe it was. I'm calling it flick the bean now when you throw the football.
Now?
Because it looks like a coffee bean when you're watching on TV. And the way these guys throw it now, they kind of flick it.
Yeah.
So who was the safety in that?
We're not naming names, but it was a couple guys back there, all right?
He just flicked the bean.
Miscommunication. He flicked the bean out there. But the point is, I was a young player, and I remember telling my other rookie, Jordan Mills, I was like, we'll be back next year. And I think we went 3-13 next year. Mm-hmm. So to your point, the opportunities are few and far between in this league.
But I think Jared Goff has done enough to prove that he's good enough for Detroit, just like Dan said. And you were kind of on the fence about, like, we drafted Hooker. Like, is Hooker going to flick the bean?
You like
this team? Like,
you like this?
Now Jared Goff.
Etymology?
Now Jared Goff gets to flick the bean for the foreseeable future because he's played well enough.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, if guys make catches in this game, great. I think they win the game. But they didn't make the plays that they had to make, and Brock made the plays. It's just like Jordan Love didn't make the plays last week. The quarterback didn't make the plays. As bad as you wanted to say that Jordan Love outplayed Purdy because he played like dog shit for a few quarters, the most important quarter is the fourth. The most important half is the second half, and Purdy played his best ball in the second half.
It was really telling to me. The one thing that's important, as you understand, is the emotional intelligence and being present in the moment and not getting too high, not getting too low. And at the end of the game, Niners get the ball, and they're going to run the clock out. They're going to take a couple knees, and the game's over. And you can see how calm and present in the moment Brock Purdy is until the very moment that his knee hits the ground.
Yeah.
And once his knee hits the ground, he explodes. Yep. That's a guy who's been there before.
Yep.
He's a winner. I don't care if it was Little League football. I don't care if it was high school football.
The moment's not too big for him.
That's a guy who knows how to do everything in the game and then take the knee the right way and then celebrate the right way.
Yep.
In this matchup, so we were talking about rematch.
But he's got to go play Patrick.
Yeah, this rematch between head coaches, it's the fourth Super Bowl rematch all time. Chuck Noll, Tom Landry, a couple of Coughlin and Belichick, and now Reed and Shanahan. In each of the three previous instances, the team that won the first time won the second time as well.
Yeah, because they're the same teams, like Brady twice, and now you're going to get this. I mean, same bones of these teams. I mean, probably a better quarterback in Brock Purdy, but then Jimmy G. But
should every team be managed by a former or a Hall of Famer and coached by a coach's son?
Yes, that's the new blueprint. So you're onto something there. Okay.
You think we'll get a Travis Kelce passing touchdown in the Super Bowl?
Yes, dude. Come on.